Okay, so I gotta show you this. So after I finished the book
Okay.
and went to bed, this is my stress while sleeping.
Wait,
Oh, let me see.
what
Okay.
is it measuring like your heart rate or something?
Yeah, it's based on like heart rate. So this is how upset I was going to bed last night. This is this is a graph of midnight to 8 a.m. It
Michael
took me
Moorcock
it took
kept
me
you from
roughly
getting to REM.
six it took me roughly 6 hours to not be upset while I was sleeping.
Michael Moorcock actually triggered the libs. By the
He
libs,
did.
I mean you.
He did. Also, yeah, my sleep. Yeah, I got 6 minutes of REM sleep last night.
Ooh.
So
Do you
much.
think, honestly, before you answer that, do you think he had any fucking plan for this book before he started
No.
writing?
No.
There's no way, right?
And you know what really ruined me? You know what pissed me off is that like you had sent me a text, I guess maybe when I had 40 pages left in the book, when I was
Yeah.
like, I had geared up for the ending. I had saved it for myself after the train ride this weekend.
Yeah.
And you said that Michael Moorcock bragged about writing like a book in 3 hours or something, or 3 days. Or
3 days,
like
yeah.
that. And that's all that kind of stuck in my head while I was finishing it.
Yeah.
And I was so frustrated because it felt like this dude just fucking started writing.
Yeah.
He had a vague idea. And then when he got halfway through, he's like, I have no idea how to pull this out. I'm just going to bullshit my way through this chapter, literally close my laptop and submit it and get it published. And like
Yeah.
no editing, no care. And it made me mad.
Dude, it was like the book equivalent of when I try to take a guitar solo. Like there might be a decent lick in there, but there are some bum fucking notes. There's no direction, there's no plan. I don't know how to get out of there back into the song. Except that's improvisation. And what he did was, in theory, write a book with infinite time to edit and consult with his team of publishers and editors and his agent. And what he produced was a fucking mess.
Maybe that's what's truly angering me is that I wouldn't feel proud to put this on a shelf. And this dude's fine with it.
It's like insulting to the audience. Like
And that,
to
yeah.
ask someone to pay money for that and to spend, I don't know how many hours it took me to read this. I did skip a couple chapters because I was so annoyed. But to ask someone to take time out of their day to read this fucking drivel that you didn't even try.
Yeah.
It's
This was
embarrassing.
it was 3 to 4 hours of my life. I got legitimately invested. I took notes. I took it seriously because I wanted to read it for this pod.
Yeah.
And to get hit with the helicopter science dump horseshit
Get into Joppa.
at the end of this with fucking Konrad Arflane storming off into the sunset. I wanted to just I literally like I wrote on Reddit like a little bitch. I've never done it before. I've never commented on Reddit, but I did today on behalf of our pod. And I was like, I don't think I ever want to read again.
Yeah, I think after reading the Ice Schooner, books might suck.
No, like
I think it's a dead art form, and
there have been times where I'm like, oh, I don't think I can read nonfiction again for a while, or maybe I should take a break from sci-fi. This is the first time where I've like, I don't know if I want to pick up a book for the rest of my life.
Okay. Well, I'm going to kick this episode off because you introduced the first three. Welcome, Travis. Ahoy.
Ahoy, matey.
Raise your anchors.
Choo choo.
Are you ready to stage a mutiny against this podcast?
Aye, Captain.
No, that's like, do you want to quit potting because you hated this book so much?
Yes, that's why I said aye, Captain.
So I get the impression you didn't like this book.
It's not that I didn't like this book. It's that it both made me dumber and angrier. It was like taking steroids in my brain. It made me feel bloated, insecure, and upset at the world.
When people become weed heads, they become sluggish, lazy, stupid, and unconcerned.
It didn't affect me as deeply. I think I had a sort of milder feeling, which was that when I finished it, I had a feeling of a man who had just read a bad book. That was I think the overriding feeling I had was one of having read a bad book.
I had a physiological impact. I showed you the tracking of my sleep from when I finished this book until when I woke up. I attempted to sleep for 7 hours. I got 9 minutes of REM sleep and was at high stress levels for 6 straight hours while sleeping. Like, this book had a negative physical impact on my life.
I wonder what the author would say if you told him, like, I literally couldn't sleep because I hated your book so much.
I've never felt worse in the morning. I think it probably took like a day off my life, you know?
It really did. 6 minutes of REM sleep. So we wanted to do one of these kind of silly, older sci-fi fantasy books because Travis was visiting me not too long ago, and we went to this wonderful Portland fantasy bookstore called Parallel Worlds. Please go if you're ever in the Alberta Arts District.
Actually, amazing bookstore, yeah.
Yeah, and really nice owner too. He's wonderful. So go support them if you're in the area. But there's a whole section of just like old fantasy paperbacks, and it's like exactly what you'd expect. Stuff from the 60s through the like mid 80s. It's like buff dudes and ladies tits out in lots of leather, like the Princess Leia Jabba outfit, and they're riding like fucking cartoonish dragons and stuff. And these books presumably sold a lot, but obviously people aren't really talking about them for good reason, maybe. So we wanted to read some.
Yeah, and really, like, I think it's interesting because this is what the culture, like the what pop culture, what Americans thought fantasy novels were for so long, right? Like,
yeah,
this is what dominated the genre. This is your traditional muscle-bound lad holding a sword, slaying a dragon. It's like saving the fair maiden. It's where a lot of tropes come from in modern fantasy. But I think it's fun to kind of look back at the silly airport paperbacks.
It's interesting because like neither of us really read something like this, but I was sort of aware of the perception of this era of fantasy. It's sort of like the years between, right? Like from Tolkien's respected, and then there's sort of a gap where people like fantasy was being written, but I don't know that people were taking it too seriously. It's like when you see like cover quotes for things like The Wheel of Time and for like Robin Hobb and Ursula Le Guin and all these people who started writing maybe more serious fantasy in the late 80s and early 90s, everyone is sort of talking about them in contrast to all the stuff that came before. I'm like, oh, this has like fucking believable characters and magic systems that make a tiny bit of sense. And so I was aware of those quotes, and I wanted to go back and sort of read the stuff that came before to see what it was like. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not. But one book down, The Ice Schooner by Michael Moorcock, I am worried that maybe all these books are in fact bad.
There's a chance.
It's only one 200-page book, but it really made me feel like the idea of reading forgotten books that a lot of people think are bad might not be very fun for us, Travis.
I had fun. I sent you more texts in like a 2-hour span than I have for any other book we've read. So
it is true.
There's got to be something there. And yeah, I think what we're going to call the series is One from the Vault. And it's going to be our filler in between more serious books that we're actually really interested in discussing and doing a proper read through on. So shorter books, older books, really forgotten books, silly novels, a little bit of fun for us.
And like for the listener, we're going to try to do this so that you don't have to read this book. We're doing the legwork.
Yeah.
All you got to do is throw the plot on. We'll synopsize the book for you. I mean, if you can find a copy of The Ice Schooner,
burn it.
I mean, don't fucking buy this book, but
burn it. If you find a copy, use it for toilet paper.
Yeah, throw it at an elected official you don't like. You do that. Okay, so by way of introduction, we've already said it, but we are covering The Ice Schooner by Michael Moorcock, published in 1969, an historic year. And we did not know this, but Michael Moorcock is something of a legend in the sci-fi fantasy world. Incredibly prolific writer. I couldn't find like a hard number on how many novels he's published, but I was watching an interview with him from 1983, and at that time he had already published over 75 novels.
Wow.
He claims to have written a single novel in 3 days, which, based on The Ice Schooner, makes a lot of sense. I think it sort of illuminates his approach to writing, which seems to be don't edit.
It feels like a weekend cocaine binge.
If you have one decent idea, I think this book is proof that you can drag that out to novel length.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I think his one good idea was ice. I think that was the whole idea, was what if the world was covered in ice?
I mean, if Waterworld had already come out at this point, it would basically just be a ripoff of Waterworld with ice, but it hadn't. So technically it's original.
He did. So yeah, I guess in his way, he did pave the way for one of the most historic box office flops of all time.
Yeah, which you need to watch immediately.
No, I do. I was reading the Wikipedia. It looks fucking incredible.
Dude, it is the cult classic of all cult classics. Highly recommend.
Yeah, it looks amazing. So I think that's really all we have to say by way of introduction. Maybe more about Michael Moorcock. He's best known for, he writes a series that does involve sort of like one of the first multiverses with a character who pops between them. So I guess in that way, maybe our Lord and Savior Brandon Sanderson owes something to him. But in other ways, I like to think that Sanderson probably doesn't owe that much to Michael Moorcock, I'd say.
I can't wait to ask John Gwynn in an interview what he thinks of Michael Moorcock's writing.
He probably likes it, man, because he's older than us. Maybe he was like, maybe he was a little fantasy nerd when this was sort of the best stuff available. But I mean, if this was the best stuff available, like what? I would just not read. Like if this was fantasy, I just wouldn't read fantasy. Like I like it because the books are good now, not because I'm desperate to like have someone swing a sword.
We'll see. We'll dive into it. I could have read this when I was 15 and I didn't know.
Yeah, maybe that's the problem. Maybe it's not the target audience.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I fucking hated this book.
Hold on. Be nice. He could be listening,
I will fight you.
Michael Moorcock. Oh my gosh. Maybe you can schedule a boxing match with Michael Moorcock. You guys can open up for Jake Paul. I fight the man who caused me to get 6 minutes of REM sleep with his shitty book. I don't think I can read this plot synopsis without laughing. So I'm gonna do my best. I'm so sorry. I worked way harder on the synopsis than I did in my other ones. Okay. Oh, okay. I gotta get my shit together. I honestly should send this to you and have you read it.
Oh my god.
Oh, okay, I'm gonna try. Okay, I just gotta get in the flow.
Konrad Arflane.
Konrad Arflane. Oh my god. Okay, here we go. Summary of The Ice Schooner by Michael Moorcock. 1969 was a year of endings. The Beatles broke up. The long, strange trip that America took through the 1960s started to burn out like a collective cultural heroin withdrawal. But 1969 was also a year of beginnings, thanks to Michael Moorcock, who set audiences to sea with Konrad Arflane, captain of the Ice Schooner and protagonist of a book by the same name. The book takes place on a far future version of Earth, when climactic change has brought about another ice age. As far as anyone knows, the entire surface of the planet is covered in ice, and an entire religion devoted to the Ice Mother has developed in response to the ever-worsening climate. Over the centuries, as the Ice Mother coated the planet in a layer of holy, cleansing ice, humanity apparently forgot how to mine or do any sort of agriculture, so humans are left to survive on what materials they can scavenge and what food they can hunt. Luckily for the humans, whales kick their evolutionary processes into overdrive and learn how to live on the ice, so the New England whaling trade of the 1800s is back and it's better than ever. Most of this hunting is done on ice ships, which are fiberglass-hulled boats that sit on giant runners. In other words, they are big dumb sleds with sails that are for some reason boat-shaped. The Ice Schooner begins with Konrad Arflane on a possibly suicidal cross-country ski trip. The captain lost his whaling vessel. I was doing good there for a second.
How deep do you go into this plot? This is like a...
Well, I want to make sure that no one has to read this book ever.
That's fair.
And if I'm thorough enough, no one will be inclined to do that. Okay. The Ice Schooner begins with Konrad Arflane on a possibly suicidal cross-country ski trip. The captain is just the stupidest.
So dumb.
He literally... oh man, I don't want to break up the synopsis, but like the fact that this book opens with him saying like, I don't know if I want to live anymore.
Bro, he basically does the equivalent of those shitty rom-coms from the 2000s where they're like, if we're 28 and single, we should just get together and get married. He's like, if I'm 35 and I'm not captain of a boat, I might as well just fucking kill myself.
I don't even want to be around anymore.
What? But he had no plan. He just cross-country skis out onto like a fucking world-sized glacier with some amount of food and no plan.
He's like, if I die, I die.
If I die, I die. But he has full control over whether he dies. He could just either ski in a straight line for 8 days or ski in a sort of circle and come back to where he came from.
Yes.
Okay. Anyways, the captain lost his whaling vessel, and his home city of Brereshill is in a state of economic decline. So Konrad isn't sure that he wants to keep on living. He doesn't have too much time to answer this question, however, because he stumbles across a survivor of a shipwreck. Against his better judgment and his ever-important traditional values, which we will discuss later, Konrad decides to rescue the man and ski him back to Friesgald, the city that is largely responsible for the decline of Konrad's home city. When Konrad arrives, he learns that he's unwittingly saved the life of Peter Persephone, the richest man in Friesgald, which means he's probably the richest man on the planet. Konrad hangs around for a few days while the old man convalesces, and he's eventually invited to lead a brief whaling expedition with the rich old man's relatives, the beautiful and completely underdeveloped Ulrika Olsen, her dandyish husband, Jannik Olsen, and the also dandyish Manfred Persephone, nephew of the rich old man. In a not-so-shocking turn of events, the fun, casual whaling expedition turns deadly. One of Konrad's friends is killed, Olsen's legs are broken, and in a bit of convenient plotting, old man Persephone dies while Konrad and crew are away. We soon learn that Konrad's brooding masculinity made such an impression on old man Persephone that he devised his entire fleet to Konrad under one condition: that he sails the eponymous Ice Schooner to the mythical city of New York to discover why the ice is beginning to melt. We should pause to note that Konrad is a staunch climate change denier. He's deeply attached to the mythology of the Ice Mother, and he rejects any suggestion that the ice could be melting, despite a seeming mountain of evidence to the contrary. Anyways, another person who is impressed by Konrad's misanthropic Sigma male tendencies is Ulrika Olsen, wife of the man whose legs were broken in the deadly whaling tour. Soon after they return from the tour, we get a completely unearned sex scene between Konrad and Ulrika that has aged about as well as raw milk, and this takes place just a few doors down from Ulrika's husband, whose legs are broken and who is suffering from an intense fever. Despite his just and manly rejection of climate change, Konrad, Ulrika, Olsen, and Manfred decide to honor the old man's will and set sail for New York. Woo. They are joined by the book's stand-in for Queequeg, a legendary harpooner named Urquhart.
Urquhart.
Urquhart. There's some misadventures on the way to New York that probably aren't worth covering in great detail. Konrad goes X Games mode and jumps the ice.
Also, not worth covering in great detail because Avery just didn't read them.
I skipped 30 pages of this 200-page book because I was struggling so much, but I did find a synopsis online that is probably a lot better than this one, so look that up. Okay, misadventures. Konrad goes X Games mode and jumps the Ice Schooner over a 40-foot crevasse. Olsen and one of the crew members try to stage the world's lamest mutiny. Konrad locks up Olsen and starts banging his wife Ulrika again, and eventually the Ice Schooner is crashed and the crew is attacked and captured by a band of barbarians. It's just saying these words is so insane.
And this is when it finally jumps the shark.
And here's where it gets good. Here's where the story starts to make sense. Okay, Konrad and co. learn that they are close to New York, which is home to the fabled court of the Ice Mother. The barbarians agree. This is some of the dumbest shit in the book. Sorry. Okay, the barbarians agree to leave. Dude, the fact that they're all riding ice bears just absolutely killed me. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Goodness, okay. The barbarians agreed to lead the crew to the Ice Mother under one condition. 2 of the crew must be sacrificed. In an epic reveal Okay. An epic reveal that wasn't foreshadowed at all throughout the book. We learn that.
Get it together, narrator.
I can't. Michael Moorcock broke me. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna think about those land whales, and it's gonna make me not laugh because there's nothing funny about them. Okay. There's nothing funny about these hairy whales that evolved in 300 years.
They just have flippers and they're just flipping around in the middle of miles of ice with no other food.
Here we go. In an epic reveal that wasn't foreshadowed at all throughout the book, we learn that Not Queequeg befriended Konrad and supported the trip to New York so that this sacrifice could take place. We discover that Queequeg is the bastard of the rich old man, Peter Persephone, and he is dead set on getting revenge on the rich old man's family. We also learn that Queequeg had somehow foreseen that all of this would happen, so we get a fun and completely unasked for prophecy tacked on to the last 15 pages of the book. Konrad, in another betrayal of his traditional He-Man sense of morality, ends up killing Queequeg and saving the life of Ulson, the man he cucked earlier in the book. Queequeg's death, however, satisfies the Ice Mother's sacrifice quota, and Konrad is led to New York. The book ends with a special 2-for-1 Deus Ex Machina and info dump. It turns out that present-day New York is a technically advanced city that exists below the surface of the ice. They have helicopters, hypnopads used to implant thoughts and memories, electricity, all the comforts of modern life. Konrad is ushered into the city, and he's taken to the leader of New York, who, in a few short pages, attempts to explain away all of the insane gaps in the world building that we've been reading about for the past 200 pages. The leader tells Konrad that the Ice Age was brought on by a global nuclear war. Earth covered itself in a shelf ice to heal from all the bombing. Very few humans survived. The few that did were concentrated near the North and South Poles. These clusters of humans developed their own separate ways of dealing with the ice. The Antarctic people apparently forgot all about technology and started hunting for land whales, which were genetically modified and not the product of evolution, on big dumb sleds, and started worshipping the Ice Mother, which is actually a stand-in for the second law of thermodynamics. The smarter, cooler Arctic people adapted to the ice through technology and innovation, and eventually they built the underground city of New York. Now, the people of New York are carrying out a global climate alteration project to melt the ice. And guess what? Konrad hates it. The leader asks Konrad to carry this information back to the people of Freeskull to prepare them for the end of the Ice Age. But Konrad, ever the inspiring hero, refuses. He says that all of this change and new information has led to nothing but confusion and pain, and so he leaves the leader of New York and his lover Ulrika on the helipad and skis off to the north to find the Ice Mother. The end.
Fuck.
Sounds pretty good when you summarize it that way, huh?
I mean, I'd like to say that your summary of the last bit of the plot of the book is longer than the actual writing of the book itself in that period.
Yeah, I think it's hard to communicate like how quickly. Well, no, I can communicate it with exact numbers is how I can communicate it. This book is 207 pages long. They get to New York on page 199. The info dump happens on page 201, and the info dump ends on page 205. Then there is 2 pages of Konrad Arflane deciding to continue his cross-country skiing trip from page 1, and the book's over.
I mean, I feel like it wraps it up quite nicely. It's a great ending.
It's a good ending in the sense that I have total closure, and I never fucking want to revisit this world again.
It's a good ending for people that want to do the crossword while looking at the answer key.
Yeah. There's
so much.
Where do you want to start?
I want to start with Michael Moorcock's philosophy on men and women.
This man, I think, really gets people. I think he exhibits a deep understanding of human nature, what makes people tick, what makes people desirable. He just gets it.
And like, he really is embodying what society needs more than anything else right now, which is trad wives.
We need trad wives, and we need big buff men.
Big buff dudes.
Who are scared of technology.
Yeah.
Who are resistant to change, unable to process new information. Those are the leaders we need.
let's just read out. I'm just going to read out a little bit of character development for
Let's do
our
it.
boy Konrad Arflane,
Lame.
the protagonist. I hate saying that word because he sucks.
The hero.
The hero, indeed. So first of all, he's fucking huge. We only talk about it once, but the first like 3 pages of the book are devoted to being like, yo, this guy's fucking huge, bruh. He has
he stresses it all the time. And during the sex scene that I am loath to even discuss on this podcast, there's a scene about him lowering his quote massive body onto the woman it was truly frightening.
His opener is him basically strolling down the street with 2 8-foot harpoons in his hands.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think Michael Moorcock understands how long 8-foot harpoons are. You don't just like walk around with it.
Yeah, he's cross-country skiing using harpoons as his poles. 8-foot harpoons.
And he's your chiseled Iceman. There's a quote: Arflane's normal expression was remote and insouciant.
No, that's hot.
Why? Why'd you have to write it like that?
Ladies, get yourself a man who is remote and insouciant.
So not only is he remote and insouciant as a positive character trait, we find out in the first, I'd call it 40 pages, that he hates women, despises them. He's like, they should not have rights. They should only do chores. They should speak when spoken to. And he hates science.
Yeah, he does criticize the city of Friesgalt, sort of the neighboring city, where he ends up spending a lot of time because the women there have some rights and are able to work.
Yeah,
I think those minor steps towards equality are not sitting well with our boy Konrad Arflane.
I mean, it's a pretty hot take, and it's also pretty hard to get us to like this guy.
Well, my little fucking modern soy boy brain was like, okay, well, this guy's a piece of shit. I guess we get to learn about how he changes and grows throughout the course of this book. That's not the kind of book we're reading, is it?
No, it's not. And I think what you're really missing out on is your daily dose of Sigma grind set affirmations.
Konrad must have found like an iPod from ages past with nothing but Sigma grind set quotes on it. And he just listens to those affirmations like 24/7.
I'd like to read 3 in a row from the first article I found online of Sigma grind set affirmations.
Okay, please.
Which
the floor is yours.
I think we need to repeat it together.
Okay.
I am a lone wolf.
I am a lone wolf.
I am great with women.
I am great with women.
I have a strong masculine presence.
I have a strong masculine presence. Maybe this was like a writing exercise that Michael Moorcock got. He was like in an MFA program, and they're like, a basic character on these fucking insane Sigma male grind set quotes. And then he turned in a 200-page garbage novel.
It's like if Andrew Tate tried his hand at writing.
Oh my god, dude. Was that real when you sent me the Andrew Tate like biography excerpt?
Yeah, no, it was. He was like, I glared at the nurse that birthed me, and they were scared.
Didn't he say that like the doctor spanked him when he's newly birthed and he like didn't cry?
Yeah, and they were like, wow, you're so tough, baby.
They were aghast. Yeah, he's just very tough, baby. Buff little boys.
So I pretty much divided this book into 3 sections.
Mm-hmm.
One is Konrad's journey to the place, freeze gas or whatever it is.
Friesgalt. Anyways, 3-part structure.
So basically, part 1, Konrad goes to the town, discovers some civilization. Part 2, Ice Journey. Part 3, end of Ice Journey. So maybe we start with part 1. What the fuck happened? This civilization is horseshit.
Why do you say that?
So to your point in the synopsis, we're some indeterminate amount of time post-apocalypse. Like, whales have evolved. People have forgotten what the name of civilizations are. They live on a fabled continent of Mato Grosso, which has no relation to any American, like any sort of current world politics. And they like don't remember anything about society. So assumedly we're like hundreds, maybe thousand years in the future.
Yeah.
And then this dude just whips out a solar generator with batteries.
That still work, by the way.
He goes
Despite the
into
fact
town.
that like an iPhone won't hold charge after like 7 years. But
he goes into town and they were just brewing up beer from their solar heat generated ponds. And
yes,
they're dispensing the beer at the pub in cups made from some ancient plastic substance, which is unbreakable.
it's
So he's
the
basically just
Nalgene
in a
bottles.
he's in a modern pub and has no idea that he's in a modern pub.
He has no clue. Yeah. This was one of the first things that sort of tipped me off. I will say Moorcock is not he's not fucking Virginia Woolf. This guy's not like a great prose stylist, but I wouldn't say it's like a mess either.
Yeah.
It wasn't the
readable.
prose that tipped me off to this being an insane, horrible book. It was this initial world building where, as you said, like this is after sort of modern life as we know it, and everything has been lost. And he sort of like tries to build up this believable thing about there people now live in these crevasses in the ice. They sort of find splits and they sort of burrow down into them, drill into the ice, find stone, sort of, carve their little caves that they live in. I was like, okay, that's cool. Except if this actually happened, he's assuming that people 100% forgot everything that they knew prior to the Ice Age.
Yeah.
Like there's no hydroponics. They're not growing anything under heat lamps. The only thing that they can do is eat the evolutionary impossible land whales that somehow fucking learned how to walk on 4 fins over the course of a couple hundred years.
Yeah.
It's insane.
I agree.
Like
and I think it's like the inconsistencies of that world that really frustrated me. Because, like, to be fair, like, you can read the first 100 pages of this book. It kind of like flows by.
Gotcha.
There's some like funny little fights, the conversation, it's not bad.
Yeah.
But like you get all these statements that like we have 22 boats left in the fleets that are these ancient wooden ice schooners. And there's no possible way.
Fiberglass.
Yeah.
Which
And
I also thought was really funny.
Right. And they're like, we could never build another one. We can never fix these. But then they're like adorning them with gold and silver and jewels that like, we have no idea where they found them. And then it's like they're painting shit. It's like, where the fuck are they getting paint? How are they forgotten how to like they forgot how to grow herbs and they can paint. And then you go down into like the crevasse town and all of a sudden you're in like a rich guy's mansion with like wooden chairs and furniture and like pelts and paintings. Like what the fuck are you guys focusing your thousands of years on under the ice?
Yeah, and it's like this wouldn't be that big of a deal except for Moorcock is like relishing sort of his description of this place, and he loves describing how everything is made out of fucking whale bone. And I get that it's cool, like, yeah, if there's resource scarcity, maybe you would use more ivory than we use today. But he is like at every turn pointing to this, and he keeps stressing like the scarcity of cloth, right? They need sails for their giant stupid sled boats. And they can't make any more sails, right? Because they have nothing to grow to make cloth out of. But then, like, if you actually follow that thread, you're like, oh, this is like if only the dumbest 5 people on the planet survived. This is maybe what they would come up with, where they're making fucking toilet wine out of like the shitty moss they find in a puddle at the bottom of their cave. That's what they drink is brew made from moss they find in a cave.
Yeah. And then yet they have like
good.
Yet they have megaphones on every boat.
I was wondering if that was like an analog bullhorn, like one of the like the cheerleaders.
I thought about it, but then I'm like, no.
No. It has like a little trigger. It's like one of the crackly ones.
And they're like, how could this work?
I don't know how much time we want to spend on this because
not too much.
And then the whales, that's another thing. So basically, because these people have forgotten how to grow anything and they're idiots, they have basically the only thing that they can eat are the 3 animals that exist, which are land whales, which again are normal whales that evolved to walk on ice in an unrealistic amount of time, seals, and bears. And that's basically it. So everyone is living on a very fucking keto-friendly diet.
Yeah. And then the moss toilet prison wine.
The moss beer, the toilet wine.
I mean, that's where it gets really absurd. Like, it's also just unimaginative. He just like land whales are basically just jacked up seals that you would imagine being like the size of a sailing vessel.
Yeah.
So it's like a large whale, but it just has flippers and they run around in herds.
Yeah. They just are hairy, hairy mobile sperm whales.
And like, how sick would you get of just eating whale product?
If I had a vacant and insouciant look and disposition, maybe I wouldn't care.
Like there's a great scene where he's at the pub drinking his shit beer and he's like 2 orders of whale steaks. I'm just imagining like how gross and tough a whale steak is because they don't have fire. He said he's only seen fire twice in his life.
He referred to it as a naked flame. I was like, why the fuck don't they have fire?
And it's like, how did you cook your whale steak, man? Are you just chewing on rubber for 2 hours?
Dude, knowing fucking Michael Moorcock, they probably have a propane tank from 800 years ago that still has gas in it or some shit like that.
Yeah, because I did notice when they're deployed on the ships, there's a full-time cook for everybody, but they don't ever say what they eat.
Whale steak.
Whale steak, raw whale steak. So is the cook.
Do you think
because there's no flame? They don't believe in fire. They don't know how it works. So is the cook literally just slicing whale steak for the crew?
Dude, it's like, have you seen those YouTube videos where it's like, if you punch a steak 5,000 times, it'll cook it to medium rare?
They just have Mike Tyson in the fucking wings of the ship.
Yeah. Do you think Konrad Arflane would eat Beyond Whale?
No, it goes against science. It goes against the Ice Mother's doctrine.
The Ice Mother doesn't want you to have Beyond Whale.
Yeah.
It is so okay. God, I keep wanting to. In a brief note on structure, also, the book sort of is bookended by these info dumps. Like the way that he introduces the world is just through an omniscient narrator info dump. He's just like, Konrad Arflane went skiing. Anyways, he's from the Mato Grosso with 8 cities, and the one he's from sucks, and now he's going. And then the thing starts, and that's kind of the world building we get. And that's sort of how the story resolves too, that there's like another world building info dump.
Yeah, in the end, they just name a random narrator that you forget. It's like Peter Pettigrew or some bullshit.
Yeah, they gave him like a really boring name. It's like Peter Bellinger or something like that.
Yeah, and then he is just the omniscient narrator to end it all.
Yeah. Okay.
But so like maybe let's pick out a couple of our favorite scenes from pre-departure.
I don't know how much notable shit happens until the first whaling trip.
Yeah, I mean, he ingrains himself in the royal family of this town with all its drama and intrigue and whatever. And all of a sudden, the cousin of the royal guy who saved likes him, and then he has a crush on the guy's daughter, and her husband sucks.
Yeah.
And then basically they get in a bit of like a dick measuring contest at one of the royal dinners. And hubby is basically like, we should go kill some whales. And he's like, bet. Let's go kill some whales. And then the royal family just takes a little cruiser out. Yeah.
Maybe that is like his best bit of character development, is like having these rich people completely unaware of the risks of going on this adventure. And they'd be like, oh, we're rich, we're going to be good, right? And they actually get some people killed and get themselves hurt in the whaling trip. But that's when we sort of get our crew together for the first time, because we have Konrad Arflane as tour guide, takes them out on... I don't think this was on the Ice Schooner.
This was on a little like fancy vessel, like a little day yacht.
They take the yacht out, and so he goes out with his hot piece of tail, Ulrika, who is married, and who I don't think he ever speaks to before they have sex. Ulrika's husband, Yannick, who is sort of a sniveling, lordling, entitled guy who is intimidated by Konrad's his aloofness, his masculinity, his probably raw size and power.
True.
And they're the rich guy's little nephew.
Yeah, he's one of those characters who's like, I think, written in the author's own depiction of himself as like the clever, intelligent guy who always has a plan and somehow is like both daring and brave and handsome and friends with everyone and like mysterious. It's just like, I don't know, he's a catch-all character.
Yeah, I can't believe we've even gotten this far without mentioning that this is, a lot of people say that this is sort of like a sci-fi fantasy retelling of Moby Dick.
Yes.
Which I'm sure any listener caught on to that. But yes, this is a book about whaling, and this involves a seemingly mad captain and Konrad Arflane, and then this sort of young nephew character whose name starts with an M, and I can't remember, Manfred. Some people say he's sort of the stand-in for Ishmael, narrator of Moby Dick. And then we have literally just Queequeg. It's the same fucking guy. The famous harpooner.
He does basically copy like 5 famous sailing books. There's like a famous short story about mutiny, and this is basically a carbon copy of that.
Yeah. People have cataloged this online, like sort of the list of references that are touched on here. But I'll
give him some credit. I will give him credit
for having read books.
He accurately described harpooning a whale.
Oh, that's good. Okay, well, we've been mean to Michael Moorcock. I will give him a compliment, which is that he knows the names of lots of types of boats.
True.
When Konrad and fucking brigs and yachts and there's some have different mast shapes. I learned this. Some triangular, some square. When Konrad sort of skis into the harbor, you could tell that Moorcock was like really excited to describe every ship in the yard. It was kind of good. I mean,
he's a boat guy.
Probably like among my favorite parts of the book.
I would agree. I think he actually does a good job of describing the general operating procedure of a boat. Actually, in his, he dedicates the book at the beginning to this dude, Keith, master steersman. And it's like, okay, I feel like he probably either likes boats or has friends that like boats. And, he did a little fact checking. And, when I originally read some of the scenes about the way they harpoon the land whales, I was like, there's no fucking way that's how that works. Because they would harpoon like a dozen whales at a time, just drag them flopping around behind the boat. And I'm like, okay, guys. And then I actually read into it, and that's actually how they would kill whales in harpoon land. So I was like, okay.
There's some like really unbelievable scenes in Moby Dick, which I mean is like a famously accurate depiction of whaling, to the point where it has turned off a lot of readers with its commitment to describing everything about a whaling rig. But they had essentially these little launch boats that they would drop when they were hunting whales, and if you stuck a whale, you would be in the little launch boat and you were along for the ride.
Oh yeah.
And you were just on a whale pulled sleigh, and then hopefully the whale doesn't turn around and kill you, or go straight down and pull you down with it. It was just fucking terrifying. So that there's some, go read Moby Dick maybe.
He does a decent job of that. And it's kind of in that scene where we first see the blossoming romance between Ulrika and Konrad. They've had this dangerous adventure. They spear a whale. It turns around and smashes their boat up. He saves her. Yannick is a little bitch and leaves her behind. And then they hold each other and embrace in the blood rain of the dying whale.
It's hard to communicate really how poetic and beautiful this scene was.
And he goes from that
the slick, wet, hot embrace covered in whale blood.
And again, they don't shower. They make a point to say that they don't shower. Everybody reeks of whale blubber and blood.
Well, where would you get water in this ice-covered land?
I know, you can't melt it because an open flame doesn't exist.
And the ice mother doesn't want you to melt it.
Exactly. And so Konrad goes from whaling success and embracing in the blood rain straight back to Yannick's HQ and just really puts a really good set of moves on the wife.
Do we even talk about this?
I think we just acknowledge it. First of all, the writing is shit. His pickup line is "I love you." They have not spoken. That's the first thing he says. It's okay. I love you.
Yeah.
And then he absolutely violates this woman in a really poorly written, toxic masculine writing style, which is like savagery and violent love, and she's a virgin and he takes advantage of her. And it's pretty shitty. It's a pretty shitty piece of writing, and I hate it. But
it was really fucked up. It was just like, dude, it's just like one of the worst things I've read, like this scene. And I mean, so many times when people talk about this era of fantasy, they talk about the way that women were written. And like, there's obviously a part of me that wants to be like, okay, well, hopefully not every book was like that or whatever. This was awful. I just think this is completely inexcusable, like to endorse this as like an appropriate or sexy way to engage with another human. I thought was just completely ridiculous and inexcusable, and really soured me on the book. Like I sort of had a hard time, enjoying it for what it was after this, because I was just like, I don't know, it just reflects really badly on the author to like think that this is a way that two people should interact. That was terrible. So
yeah, and then you're meant to, I guess, root for the protagonist for the rest of the book when you just can't, you flat out can't root for this guy. You can't root for the writer. So it's like, it's one thing to make fun of the whole book, but then it's also just like, coming from a place of like actually not respecting the author is where we're at.
Yeah, I think that that's tough, because like I don't want to drag on a book that someone worked hard on, not that he seems to have worked hard on this. And I get that, whatever, there's enough negativity in the world, but I think when people start writing this sort of stuff that like I think is just like really off color and offensive, that's when I stop sort of caring about calling it shitty. So I think maybe that's a ground rule for the podcast. Let's be nice unless you write sexual violence in a glorified way. So
it's a fair rule. Yeah. I think that's a pretty easy rule to follow in life.
Yeah. So we move on from there. While the deadly whaling thing happened, conveniently, rich old man who Konrad saved, start of the book, kicks the bucket. He dies,
and he leaves Konrad a map to New York and I had a question for you. What is the legality of this will as a lawyer?
Dude, this is actually, you are tested on this in the bar. And I mean, this, that the bar does not test you on real law. It tests you on some sort of synthesized version of law that resembles real law. But you get, like, the bar I took most recently in Oregon, there was an insane question about someone who like hand wrote a will and then like amended it with a different colored pen later and then ripped it up and taped it back together. Like, is it enforceable? Fuck, I don't know. Jesus. But I did pass, so
it's good.
I think it would be enforceable. I don't see why not. It seems like he wrote it. He like wrote it and signed it.
He's like, if you don't take my children on an adventure to New York, then all my land is forfeit.
That's but I mean, if you want an actual legal comparison, you can sort of like deed restrict the way that land is used, right? Like people do this to, say an apartment it has to be given to low-income tenants or whatever, or land will be given to a nonprofit and be devoted to a certain use. So I don't see why you couldn't like make a will and this is yours under a condition.
Legal.
There you go.
Boom. It's decided.
It's decided, but they do have to publicly announce the will, which is funny. So like Manfred, the little dandyish nephew, goes and he shouts the will in the town square because this dude is raring to go to New York.
He is, and at this point we assemble the Ocean's 11 version of post-apocalyptic Ice World, which includes my boy Urquhart, who has to be my favorite character, I think, in this whole book. And Urquhart is.
Can you read his description, please?
Oh my God, I have to.
Okay, you describe him. I'm gonna find the page.
Yeah, I mean, if we were introduced to Konrad as like a huge, massive human being, Urquhart is like terrifying. Like he is your true depiction of a barbarian with like long matted hair. He is cut like he's wearing furs basically that are just covered in blood and blubber. He has not bathed ever. And
he's a stinky. They stress this over and over how stinky he is.
And he's holding a 10-foot harpoon. We thought 8-foot was big. This normal large-sized man is holding a 10-foot stick with a fucking barb on it. And from a personality perspective, he's basically the kid that you grew up with who refuses to not wear shorts in winter. It's like negative degrees out, and he's still sporting his like chacos and like short shorts and basically just too cool for a jacket. He's that version, but for like cold places. So this guy like refuses to ever take off his coat. He is like a true traditionalist. He hates science more than Konrad hates science. I think he hates women more than anybody. Thank God we don't get a sex scene with him. Oh my God.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, we might have had to put the book away.
Yeah. And funny enough, he's also family to the royals, which is not really ever talked about at all. At all.
It is
It could have
not.
been
There's
interesting.
like,
Could have been
one
interesting.
line. There's one line because Manfred, they call Urquhart cousin. They call him cousin.
Yeah.
And Conrad's like, what do you call him cousin? And I'm like, oh, he's a relative. And we sort of get that line. And then other than that, the rest of the explanation is left for the info dump.
Yeah. And so basically, they take over the big boy ice boat. They have a full crew. This is like the schooner. This is the ship of the lands, like Her Majesty's favorite ship. This is a big boy. And they get everybody on it. He's got his little like crew, his squad. Urquhart hops on board. The royals hop on board. And they set off on like a indeterminate amount of time journey to New York. I want to say the trip is like 3 months. That's what I would guess.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I did find the description of Urquhart if you want to.
Yes, I would like to hear it.
If you want to get into this. Okay. He cradled a long, heavy harpoon in one massive arm, and the other hand was on his hip. It's kind of a cute pose.
Yeah.
His face, even in the poor flickering light, could be seen to be red, mottled, and ravaged by wind, sun, and frostbite. He's not wearing SPF. It was a near fleshless, that's so gross. It was a near fleshless head, and the bones jutted like the ribs of a sheep.
Ew.
His nose was long and narrow, like the inverted prow of a clipper, and there was a deep scar under his right eye and another on his left cheek. His hair was black, piled and plaited on his head in a kind of coiled pyramid that broke at the top into two stiff pieces resembling the fins of a whale or seal. So he's got like a dread cone on top of his head with like little tufts at the. It's like, isn't that?
I'm having so much trouble imagining this guy. I would like an artist depiction.
It's like the haircut that people give like babies. When you have like a little baby girl and you just like do like the little ponytail on top that looks like a volcano.
Ugh.
That's what Ricard has, except he's stinky and smells like dead whale.
Gross.
Let's see. The strange hairstyle was held in place by a clotted blubber. He's using blubber hair gel, and its smell was strong. His furs were of fine quality, but matted with whale blood. Blah blah blah. His jacket open to the neck. I think you get the picture. It's a ladies' man.
He's a ladies' man. Yeah. And everybody respects him because he's like a big, scary whaling guy who's killed a bunch of whales and stuff.
Yeah. Urquhart walks up to your girl. What do you do?
Right. And so basically, I'd like to skip 90 pages right here, and I'd like to summarize it quite quickly, which is they hop on the boat, they hop a crevasse at full
40
speed.
feet. 40 feet.
Konrad goes through multiple phases of teenage boy depression where he's not getting laid because Ulrika leaves him again.
By the way, after the awful sex scene, Ulrika quite reasonably goes to him and is like, hey, I'm married. Let's not do this again. That was a mistake. And Konrad responds by, this is before they've left, and he's sort of readying the ship. He responds by becoming incredibly abusive to his crew to the point where people almost just like walk off the ship and decide not to be his crew. And that was one of the worst Moby Dick things, is that instead of the like insane Shakespearean Ahab thing, we have Konrad Arflane, who is just driven pussy mad by having sex once and just becomes abusive to his crew.
Yeah, there's an incredible scene where like they're about to die, the ship is about to like break, they're about to run into something, and he's like, this crew's looking at him for advice, and he sees her walking to her cabin, and there's this internal monologue where he's like, maybe I should follow her. I wonder what would happen. Maybe I can convince her. And then he's like, oh wait, I should probably save the ship that I'm the captain of. And
a real guy's guy.
His decision making gets worse and worse. He delegates everything. Basically, the crew tries to mutiny like 4 times throughout this 3-month trip. They lose a bunch of officers, yada yada. It's actually pretty tedious.
That's the part I skipped.
Yeah. And then at a certain point, basically, when they're like 100 miles from New York, they crash into an ice wall. Pretty much the whole crew dies, except the main characters. and then they get rescued, quote unquote, by barbarians. And I think that's where it kind of picks it up again. Yeah, bear riding barbarians who are screaming, "You killed the last of the whales."
Yeah. So that's when we sort of, now we're in the end game of the book, and they've been captured by the barbarians, but Urquhart is sort of able to negotiate their release due to his fanatical obsession with the Ice Mother. And he gets them, and these barbarians too, like they're followers of the Ice Mother as well. So they're not that psyched about them going to New York because it's like a sacred place, right?
Yeah.
It's the home of the Ice Mother. She holds court there. But he's able to negotiate the release and get them to take them to New York for a blood sacrifice.
Oh,
but
this gets wild.
Travis, can you try to explain in a way that doesn't sound insane Urquhart's plan?
Well, okay. Here's where we did zero character development for Urquhart for like 165 pages. And then we find out that the entire voyage is Urquhart's revenge story, where his dad had him out of wedlock, and then I guess the mom died and they left him abandoned on the ice, and he became one with the ice and plotted revenge for his entire life. And this is the culmination of his revenge against this prissy royal family. And he believes in Konrad as the savior and wants to free him from the burden of the royal family.
Yeah, he like thinks Konrad is Jesus.
Yes.
He thinks he's like Ice Mother Jesus.
And so the pinnacle of the scene is that this guy Manfred or whatever, who I actually enjoyed, is strong.
He's the most likable character in the whole book, besides Urquhart before he goes nuts.
They string him up, chop his dick off, and then he very quietly just bleeds to death, and we never have any resolution to him whatsoever.
Urquhart is the one to cut the dick off of his, I believe it's his nephew or his cousin or something like his cousin. He cuts his cousin's dick off, and Moorcock does describe him waving it around in the air in a murderous glee.
Yes, and in which case Ulrich breaks free, and in a moment of courage, the first of the book, kills his cousin, I guess his cousin-in-law, Urquhart. And then they're like, okay, well, I guess you killed 2 royals, whatever. We'll take you to the Ice City.
Yeah, they had to kill 2, and they didn't really care which 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, Konrad, but this was like there's a lot of shit that doesn't add up in this book. But this one I found, this was like in the top 5 most annoying moments for me, because the whole book, there's this tension between Konrad and the man whose wife he is having sex with, right? Which it actually is a conflict that makes sense, unlike most conflicts in this book. And Konrad sort of like does the right thing and recognizes that Urquhart's plan is insane and he's about to murder these people for like no good reason. So Konrad saves him. He kills Urquhart, satisfies the Ice Mother's thing, and I was like, oh, maybe these guys team up. Literally the next chapter, Konrad ends up killing this guy, Olsen, because Olsen tries to kill him. Like,
and this gets even dumber. So basically the barbarians. Also, can we just say the reason they were lost in the first place to meet the barbarians is that nobody looked at the compass to find out they were walking the wrong direction. And if you told me that I spent 3 months on a boat and then the last 10 miles we walked, nobody was paying attention. I mean, sorry, that's an aside. There's so many logic inconsistencies in these last 40 pages. It's infuriating. So anyway, they walk to New York, they see it, and then they're on like fake ice glass, they realize, that starts to lower into a chamber into the depths of the city. And it's like, we just got elevated into Science Town. And so what's the response to getting elevated into this massive science town that breaks your entire worldview is that Ulrich decides it's time to duel. And he's like, I'm going to charge this guy on a bear with a cutlass. And then just immediately gets stabbed and dies. I think that's the lamest.
The setting was so fucking funny too, because it's like, you know, we've been in this like low tech world of giant sail driven sleds and fucking land whales, and then all of a sudden we're in like high sci-fi territory with this complex underground city and this platform that, like a city-sized platform that descends, except one of the characters is riding a fucking bear, swinging a sword, and just the visual of this guy like being on a bear, but like basically on a spaceship at the same time was So funny.
And it's also like the 9th character of this book that is killed without speaking a word in like 40 pages.
Yeah.
So it's just like there's no resolution. But I do think it's funny because there's like 2 little dudes who are like sci-fi characters with their hoods on, who are controlling the apparatus that like lets them into sci-fi town.
Yeah.
And they're just watching this duel, and at the end they're like, huh, like, nice job, savages. Way to kill each other.
Cool.
Welcome to
It's like the
civilization.
bellhop. It's like the elevator operator.
And then basically at this point, the only 2 people alive are our boy Konrad and his, I guess, now wife again, because Yannick is now officially dead and not just crippled or locked in a chamber or cucked.
Yeah. No, not much of a grieving period for her. She really just moves on to the next one.
Yeah. And then we get the truth. This is the last chapter of the book, entitled The Truth.
It is the truth. There's a chapter called New York, and then after that, there's a chapter called The Truth. And this, I feel like we haven't set this up that well, but the plan, the reason that they went to New York is that the rich man, Peter Persephone, has been sort of using a team of scientists to monitor changes in the weather. The land whales are becoming more scarce. It looks like the ice is receding. The climate is changing. And he feels like the answer is going to be in New York, this mythical city. And he glimpsed it once, but wasn't able to get it there. It's a long voyage. The ship crashed, whatever. So he sends Konrad there. So he gets to New York, and we do get some answers.
We do.
Let's walk through them.
Yeah. And Avery, I have to disagree. It's not that we didn't set this up well. It was not set up well.
Neither we nor Michael Moorcock set this up very well.
No. So Peter Billy Bean or whatever, their local host to New York,
the maitre d' of New York,
yeah, very calmly just explains everything that's been happening, from nuclear Armageddon to the Ice Age to the building of a technocratic society in the bowels of New York, to then this idea that they are going to de-ice the planet and repopulate, basically. And he also drops that they can hypnotize people, they have helicopters, they're genetically modifying things and migration patterns. Africa never froze, and I guess nobody decided to look over there.
Yeah, I don't know if this counts as retconning, but it sure as fuck felt like a retcon when he told us that the land whales were actually genetically modified, and that's what allowed them to evolve so quickly to become land.
Do you know what encapsulates in one interaction for me the laziness of this entire book?
I hope it's the sentence that I have in mind.
Okay. So this entire setup, 200 pages, is Konrad Arflane's journey through morality and his philosophy of the world, his interactions with science, his belief in the ice mother being challenged by volcanoes and a changing climate. And he's always like, I believe in science. I don't believe in science. I believe in the ice mother doctrine.
Yeah.
And there's this interaction at the end where he's all pissy because now he knows the truth. And Ulrich is excited. And he's like, why aren't you excited? What's wrong with knowledge, Konrad? And he just goes, I don't know. And that is the entire character resolution of 200 pages. The whole morality battle back and forth of this plot is just like, hey, what's wrong with this knowledge thing? He's like, I don't know. And then Michael Moorcock just moves on and ends the book. This
echoes the way that a lot of fucking masculinity influencers talk about things today, where it's like there's certain things that are considered masculine, but then sort of the ideal male is also so unbelievably fragile in other aspects of their lives. Konrad is this big tough guy, but he's unable to process new information and just shuts down and screams no like a little baby whenever he has to alter his worldview. And I don't get how that fits into this ideal male archetype. It's just you're a dumb baby. You're a baby.
Yeah, he gets rejected by a woman. He shuts down and kills half his crew because he's irresponsible. He is faced with facts and knowledge, and he just skis off into the sunset to kill himself and abandon his love.
I'm taking this tiny bit back, but so Peter Ballantine is the sort of head dude in New York who delivers the info dump and gives us the history of the world. And this is what he says to Konrad when they first meet. says, "I'm Peter Ballantine," he said pleasantly. His pronunciation was careful, as if he spoke the words of a language he had recently learned. "Please sit down. I will be brief. Ask questions when I have finished." Incredibly meta, he says, "Shut the fuck up. Don't think about this too hard until I'm done." And that's when the info dump starts. And it's like signaling to the reader, it's like, listen, I know that this isn't really adding up, but you just wait until 2 pages from now. And I think you're going to be pretty, you'll be pretty impressed with what old Mike came up with here.
The old twist at the end.
Is it? I don't think it's too, I guess it's a twist. Is it a twist?
I mean, at its essence, it is. It's like, if you really actually do the writing for him, it's interesting that there's like a technocratic society that's been controlling these like fake savages from afar, and is now like there's actually some interesting ideas there. Is it interesting in the context of how it's written in this book? Fuck no. It's so dumb. Was that the line that pissed you off at the end? Was there another one?
There probably is, but I can't remember right now.
The only other just the cap and the feather is that they're like, hey, hey lady, we're gonna send you back to your village to spread the gospel of science.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, how could we get back there? It took us 3 months and we don't have a boat anymore. And they're like, oh yeah, shit, we got a helicopter, bro. Like, hop on.
Get into chopper.
Yeah. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's amazing. And like, I didn't even want to go down this path because it's like poking holes in his world building it's sort of a waste of time. But like, really, there's this whole society that's planning on like changing the whole fucking world, and they decided not to share this with anyone until Konrad Arflane shows up on a bear, and he's like, you know what, you with your insouciant gaze are going to be the one to carry our fucking message of the high tech back to your tribe of savages. Like, it makes no sense.
No.
Oh my god.
It's like asking Chevy Chase in his current angry 85-year-old form to like lead the office of the CTO of America.
Yes, Jesus Christ. This really is like if aliens came to Earth and they were like, we would like to parlay with Ted Nugent.
Yeah.
Please bring him out. He's the guy that we want to talk to first.
Let's wrap this up.
We haven't discussed the end of the book.
That's the end of the book.
Oh my gosh, no, it is not. Are you not covering the last 2 pages of the book? Chapter 26, North. After our info dump.
Yeah.
After Peter Ballantine says to sort of carry the message back to the tribe, they're all standing on the helipad together. Konrad, Peter Ballantine, Ulrika. And Ulrika, his lover, says, hey, Konrad, let's do this. Let's go back. Let's prepare society for this new world, for this changing climate. And Konrad says, that doesn't make me feel good. I am going to get back on my cross-country skis. I'm heading north to go see the Ice Mother.
And talk about mother of inconsistency here. The entire book, he trusts the legend of the Ice Mother.
Mm-hmm.
On page 206, they say, you will become a hero, Konrad, if you're able to guide the people towards the future. A legend. I do not trust legends, he says. 50 lines later.
Anyways.
Goodbye, Ulrika. Where are you going? She asked. North, to seek the Ice Mother. The legend. Make up your mind, Konrad.
I will say, to be a generous reader and give Michael Moorcock some credit, I think that he might be saying that Konrad is just going to off himself.
He is.
Yeah. So I think it's like, because there's all this stuff about the Ice Mother, and everything eventually becomes cold. You die, your body becomes cold. The earth is growing colder over time, whatever. The sun is going to burn out. There's all this shit. So maybe he's just saying, like, my cold dead body is going to be.
It's just so pointless.
Isn't this is like the writer's 101 thing where they're like, a story is a person changing. They always say shit like that, but like everything is supposed to be about someone learning something and then sort of re-entering the world as a new person. And this story boldly does the exact fucking opposite of that, where like Konrad is given every chance to change, and he's like, actually, I'm just going to kill myself rather than do that. So, what would you rate this?
Maybe that is the Sigma male grind set. Maybe that's what it's all about.
Not changing in the face of information to the contrary.
Yeah, let's see. I'm reading some more Sigma male affirmations. I prefer to walk my own path. I'm a lone wolf. My life is my own, and I will live it on my terms.
I'm a massive man with a vacant gaze.
I'm a wolf among sheep.
I've killed many land whales.
So yeah, this book.
My hair is slicked with pungent blubber.
I think I give it a 9.9, man.
Out of
100,000.
Okay. We love doing this. Can we, with our 1 decimal point, give an actual rating?
Yeah.
I haven't really thought that much about this, but this is a tough one to rate, man. It has made me laugh more than any book I've ever read.
Yep, I have sent you more upset texts. I was giggling to myself. I was also disgusted at half of the book. I was upset to the point of physical exhaustion.
Yeah.
All in a 3-day span. I started reading this on Friday. We're recording this on like Wednesday. Well, I guess Wednesday morning, Tuesday night. I think so. Actually, out of a 10, and for context, most of our books that we talk about range anywhere from a 6.8 to an 8.5. That's kind of our sweet spot of your solid fantasy novel that we're talking about together. It's weird because like the first 50 pages of this book, I give it like a 5.5.
Yeah, average.
From 60 to 207, I give it like a 1.7. And so I think where I land whale up is like a 3.3.
Do you think I have to disclose that I skipped 30 pages. Travis, having read the whole book, do you think I can fairly rate this having skipped 30 pages?
Okay. You missed nothing.
Okay, with that in mind, and listener beware, I did not read pages 150 through 180. I'd have to give this like a 2.5 maybe. I literally would not recommend this to a single person.
No, like I wouldn't even recommend maybe they listen to our whole podcast about
it. Yeah, turn this off.
Why are you still
here?
I
just wouldn't recommend this to anyone. Like, I don't know that it's not to say that has no redeeming qualities, but like its good qualities are so fucking outweighed by all of the horrible qualities that.
Yeah.
Well, do we want to keep reading these kinds of books?
I think so. I actually genuinely think so, because
I had a lot of fun.
I had a lot of fun talking about it.
Yeah.
I think it will help us appreciate good writing more.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to read some really funny ones. Like, I'm excited for our Costa Rica drunken discussion of the pterodactyl book.
Oh, the Tingler.
The Chuck Tingler.
Yeah, Chuck Tingle's coming, folks. Get ready.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, I'm in for these. A little filler between serious books.
Well, my loyal shipmate, bon voyage. Thanks for joining me aboard the Ice Schooner. This was good.
And on that note, I sail north alone as a wolf among sheep.
I am getting back on my helicopter, and I'm gonna enjoy a nice whale steak and some beer made from moss.
Cheers, my friend.